Hi everybody. I'm not able to film outside because we are experiencing a bit of a rare windstorm. We're here at the end of January right now, and I'm about to start doing some spring prep outdoors, which is much needed. We haven't done any yard work here at the guest house for about 9 weeks, and for some reason I chose today to get started. The wind has died down enough, so I think I can do a little filming outside here. I didn't get a before of this side yard, but it was a mess. We really let those tomatoes that went crazy here last summer and fall. We had a tomato jungle, and we just let them do their thing and become ground cover here. So this is just our first day out here working. Also, very sadly, our citrus tree here finally kicked the bucket last year, so it is no longer. It was a really old citrus tree, and they don't live forever, but it was also damaged by citrus borers, which are a actually very beautiful, colorful looking beetle. They are one of the biggest pests on the island for citrus trees. So it's still only the end of January here. We're just trying to stay ahead of the curve and get things cleaned up as early in the season as possible. We're also considering at what point we're going to turn this side yard into a patio, and we're thinking about what kind of big barrier plants we can plant to keep it private from the yard here while not feeling overly claustrophobic. I just got the truck loaded up. These are all the baby plants that Evan has been hoarding. He assures me every one of these pots, even if they look dead, do contain a plant. And then all of these additional ceramic pots, we're just going to take over to our house. So they've been hiding behind the guest house garage. We want to get it cleaned up back there. Nobody really looks back here, but I still like to keep it clean, so we need to do some sweeping. This is where guests store their bikes, and then this is behind the house. I just spent less than 10 minutes back here. The only tool I used was the hoe. Now I just have to clean this up. I left a couple of pretty ferns down there, but I also did this section with the hoe. And the thing is when you're working in a small space with plants that don't grow very fast, you can just chop and drop, and then these are going to go away pretty shortly. But because the neighbors might see it, I'm going to go in there and just clean it up real quick. Well, that was a nice little project, and I probably won't have to do any cleanup back here again for another year or so. I'm also not too worried about doing it perfectly, because this is where we are applying for a subsidy from our local city to help small businesses expand in their first year. And one of the projects that we will be applying for includes putting some drainage ditches all along this back side, because as we learned last year, about once a year we get some water coming in here, and the guest house is fine, but the guest house garage flooded. So we cannot expand our retro shop into the guest house garage until we get some drainage put here across the driveway along the back of the house and connecting back to that drainage ditch. If all goes as planned, then the drainage ditch will go from the guest house garage, future retro shop. And they'll punch a hole and connect it to this drainage ditch here, which runs along the back side of the house and out to the ocean. We are trying not to get our hopes up because it's a very expensive project otherwise, but they did say it seemed like a perfect fit for what the subsidy is designed for, because we wouldn't be able to expand into the retro shop without both the drainage as well as our plan to turn this into some extra parking spots. So the subsidy is designed for new businesses who will be expanding in their first year. And it seems that we're a perfect fit, so hopefully if they like our application, because that would be really nice. At the end of that last clip, you might have heard a car pulling up in the driveway. That was our contractor stopping by, and he is just a great guy. Every time he stops by, it's just kind of fun. We are purchasing some paint from him. He's going to custom mix a color for us because we're going to paint the guest house bathroom at the same time that we close down for about 2 weeks to do the tub renovation, which is coming up really soon. So our new neighbors, a Canadian couple, helped me pick out the perfect paint color for the bathroom. So thank you so much for that help. It was really amazing to just take some pictures of the bathroom, and she used a color app and came up with what I think is the perfect color. So we are just now getting that paint ordered, and all sorts of little things are starting to fall into place. Some of you might remember this little triangle-shaped piece of land and this rusty shed. Neither of these are our property, but they're right next to the guest house, and the owner has let us farm on this little plot here. Evan's just doing some chop and drop spring prep. This is a really good ground cover. It's kept down most of the weeds in this plot, so not much weeding here. If you're new to the channel, you might be entertained if you go back and watch our video where we cut up an old tatami mat, or two old tatami mats to use as mulch when we first started working on this piece of abandoned land.
Well, our yard work day got rained out, so we spent some time here in the workshop getting my tools sorted. It's nice to go through 2 households worth of tools and see what I actually have. I hope to be able to build a proper workbench soon, but for now this at least lets me know what I've got to work with.
We've also been doing work in the tomato and tomatillo garden here, which is directly behind our guest house. It's looking pretty good, considering that it's still only the first week of February. We've got a lot more work here to do, though. We had some major drainage issues last year, so Evan's going to be putting this pipe in the ground for some drainage. This field is a former rice paddy, so he's going to put a pipe here where the water can enter the pipe and then exit into this ditch that goes straight out to the ocean. Now, this is our neighbor's land that we're using, and she's expressed interest in having us expand to take up more of this back field behind her house. It's between her house and the guest house, so we're happy to do that, and we will be adding 2 more rows. This is all ground cover for now to try and kill the grass. This is all free and compostable material, which after we use here, we're going to use other places. Even though it'll probably be a few weeks before we get to this expansion here and building more on these trellises, because Evan has to get to building beehives, so we won't see much more progress in this area in this particular video. But today we are going to spend a couple hours harvesting bamboo, so we're ready to go when the time comes. To get to the area that we harvest bamboo, we're going to bee yard number 1. The neighboring field is an overgrown citrus orchard that is slowly being taken over by bamboo. So the neighbor here, who we are leasing bee yard number 1's land from, and she's also letting us use some of her garden space. She's super appreciative when we come take this bamboo out, just in hopes that this won't become a full grove someday, but I don't know that we can harvest enough to actually save these trees. So depending on how quickly we can get through building beehives and the bathtub renovation, which are our next two major projects, I think we're going to get started expanding these by late February or mid-March. Another thing we're going to do at that time is rent a wood chipper and take care of all of this beautiful abandoned wood that's just been sitting here. We're going to chip all this up and turn it into bark chips, which will be great for our garden and also helpful for this neighboring building, which is where we found baby Bosco. He was living underneath this house, a single solitary puppy living under there until he was 6 or 8 weeks when we caught him.
This is our bonus field near bee yard number 1. There's no spring prep here to do, so we're just checking in on it. This is another field that one of our neighbors is letting us use for free. This is planted in onion and garlic. A neighbor lady saw us filming and she rushed out to give us some oranges. These on the left are Campe and these on the right are Madonna, both very sought after sweet varieties.
We're getting close to the end of this spring prep video, but right now we are here at the bee yard. We've got a full load of cinder blocks to drop off. Now it's still the beginning of February and we're going to spend a ton of time doing spring prep at the bee yards, March, April, and probably May. So today we're just going to drop some stuff off. Not sure if it's going to show up on video, but we've got a couple of flakes, snowflakes, floating through the air right now. Of course it's not going to stick. We don't get snow here, but it's too cold to be doing this kind of work. Evan's got a few more bulbs to plant while we're here. More flowers for the bees when spring gets here. In case it's too windy out there, I'm just going to say right now, the last stop on our spring prep mini farm tour is here at the hot pepper field, and we are dropping off a load of cardboard to refresh our free compostable cardboard mulch. The pepper field is not very photogenic right now, but the cardboard's doing its job. It's composting into the ground, and we're going to add more cardboard on top. If we didn't have any cardboard, the weeds would be this tall. Now you know I like to end these videos on a cute note, so Evan is here helping me prepare a new Benton Guesthouse road sign. With the exception of these brackets, we're using all reclaimed material for this whole sign, including this post. This is from the guest house garage, and this is how we'll keep it in place. This was also from the guest house. The wood for these signs is also reclaimed wood that was found here at this house. Then Evan cut it down to size for me. I hand penciled the lettering here, then I painted over. I used black and yellow lacquer, and the blue and the orange comes from the paint for our beehives. Here Evan is using a hand tool that we also found here in the house to shave down this wood so it fits in the stand. Evan got it very securely put together for us, so now we're going to go put it in place. Got a new stray kitty here. It's a brown tabby, but I don't think that's the brown tomcat tabby that I've been keeping an eye on. This one looks smaller. Who are you?